Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I forget that I don't have to use the mic. Yeah. It's a great pleasure for me to be here together with you today, and thank you very much for the kind invitation. And I also would like to acknowledge the tremendous work of the organizers, the commitment, so thank you very much. And also a great pleasure to be here and be the first speaker after the lunch, when you have to deal with your food babies, as we heard earlier, but I would like to grab your attention for 20 minutes or 25 minutes. And after this philosophical level of presentation, I brought clear facts for you. So nothing to discuss, just digest. As Balázs mentioned earlier, WMO is taking care for the State of the Climate reports. In March, the Global State of the Climate reports have been launched, and just last week, the European State of the Climate report has been launched. This is a short summary about 2024 in global meeting. It was a record-breaking year across many indicators. The most popular one is that the year was the warmest year in the 175 years long record. The last 10 years was the 10th warmest year on record. And also, this was the first year when the global temperature average succeeded the 1.5 degrees centigrade. So this is something, but you can see some further indicators, climate indicators. So the glacier mass loss is accelerating, the ocean is continued to warm, the sea level rise doubled in the last 10 years, but we could continue, so not really, this is the point of my presentation. And as I mentioned, there is the State of the European Climate Report, which was launched together with the Copernicus Climate Change Services and the WMO. This is a joint publication since 2 years, so this is the second one. And Europe was the warmest year on record also in 2024. If I talk about Europe, I must highlight that the domain is a bit tricky here, because we use the WMO domain, which is the WMO Regional Association 6 domain. It means that the continental Europe, the European countries, also the South Caucasus and some countries, 4 countries from the Middle East, also part of the WMO, meaning Europe. It's Denmark, sorry. Hope. Let's hope. So, but Europe is the fastest warming continent, because it's warmed twice as fast as the global average. This is the bad news for us here in Europe, and this is the fact we have to deal with it. Just some further results from the report. We faced record annual temperatures in Central and Eastern Europe, but if we take care for the whole Europe, 45 days of the year were much warmer than the average, and 12 days were the warmest on record. It means that 1 month was, if we take every day, 1 month period was the warmest on record. We faced very, very high temperature anomalies in the Arctic region. Svalbard, it was, as you can see here, the 3rd consecutive record warm summer there. And if we just talk about the Arctic region, the Arctic warms 3 times faster than the global average since 1980s. And according to this big warming, the glacier mass had a record loss in the last year, mainly in Svalbard and in Scandinavia, but we can generally tell this, that the glacier faced a mass loss last year. If we talk about the extreme weather events, I think everybody will remember for the last year. Unfortunately, according to the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, Europe is one of the regions with the largest projected increase in flood risks. I think everyone remembers for the storm Boris, which caused in 8 countries in Central Europe a big riverine flood in September. And if we just mentioned Valencia, where the flash flood in end of October and beginning of November caused a big loss of lives and loss of livelihoods in the city. But 12% of the river network exceeded the severe flood threshold last year, and 30% of the river's network exceeded the at least the high-level flood threshold last year. Some words about the long hot summer in the southeastern Europe. You know, meteorologists are always troublemakers. The too much water is a problem, the flood is a problem, and too less water is also a problem for us. So the droughts, which we suffered in the southeast European and some of part of the Central European regions. You can see the days here. Out of the 97 days from 1st of June to 5th of September, 43 days had heat waves last summer. And the situation will be much worse in the future. The heat stress days and also the tropical nights, the number of these days and nights increased significantly. And just have a look beyond the averages, behind the averages. There were many, many key events in 2024, heat waves, wildfires, droughts, as I mentioned earlier, but also storms, flood, marine heat waves, or windstorms caused significant losses in the country. As you can see, 413,000 people have been affected by the storms and flooding, 42,000 people affected by wildfires, and the loss, $18 billion of euro loss, and 85% of this was attributed to the floods in the region. The bad news that the frequency and the severity of extreme weather events are increasing in the future. And this is the challenge that no country can really handle alone. No city can handle alone. No individual person can handle alone. We need, as it was at the beginning highlighted, we need cooperation. We need communities to work together. And the role of the international cooperation is significant here. I brought you some good news, which are good on one hand side and not so good anymore. So from 2018 to 23, in 5 years' time, the European cities, the number of the European cities which has dedicated adaptation plans doubled. At the moment, 51% has adaptation plan. And if we have a look on the countries, we have 4 more countries who has adaptation plan. But of course, continued efforts is needed here. We have to address the climate change more effectively in the future if we really want to be well prepared for the extreme weather events which present increasing risks in the built environment and in the infrastructure also. It's a bit strange. Okay, we lost a picture here. Sorry, I don't know where is it, but should be a picture behind. But the fact, there is a very sad fact, 3.3 to 3.6 billion people live in the context that are highly vulnerable to climate change at the moment. Disasters are set to increase by 40% before 2030, so in 5 years' time in Europe. Extreme weather events are becoming, as I mentioned, more frequent and intense. Countless lives and livelihoods are at risk. The disaster costs are rising, costing billions of euros, billions of dollars in economic losses. So, as I mentioned, the international cooperation is essential here. A unified approach is needed to mitigate the future disasters. Now we have the photo here. I don't know what happened in the other slide. Only half of the world countries report having sufficient capacity to alert their citizens about the impending hazardous weather situation and conditions. Half of the world countries can warn the peoples, the citizens in their territory that a hazardous weather and extreme weather event will happen in 1 hour, in 2 hours, in 1 day. I think it's a very, very bad news. That's why the UN, the United Nations, called for the Early Warning for All initiative, which is the flagship initiative of many UN agencies, but also for the WMO, the World Meteorological Organization, because early warning services has been proven efficient and cost-effective way to save lives, livelihoods, and to protect progress on the sustainable development. The people-centered early warning systems will trigger, if you have it, well-prepared early action to save lives and livelihoods, and this way they will reduce the risk to disasters. So just a 24-hour warning can cut resulting damage by 30%. As you can see, this Early Warning for All initiative has 4 main pillars, because if we talk about warnings, I think, or I hope, everybody think on the meteorological services, that the meteorological service will issue a warning. But the situation is not so simple. The value chain is much longer here. First of all, we have to be well aware of the disasters, the disaster risk which can hit us. It doesn't only mean the governments, doesn't only mean the decision makers. Every single citizen has to know that what will happen, what can happen in my country, and if it happens, what I should do. The second pillar is, of course, the observation, the forecasting, and the warning of the hazardous weather, which is the part of the meteorological services. But here again, I have to highlight the role of the single authoritative voice. If in a country there are different warning providers, private companies, no one will know what to follow. So the role of the single authoritative voice is really, really crucial here. And if we have the warning, it has to be disseminated, it has to be communicated with the people, the communication has to be clear, everybody should understand that what to do, how to do, not only the citizens, but the tourists. Just think on the language question, that which language can you warn them? And they have to be able to follow what you would like them to follow. So a disabled people has to also follow this instruction if they are tourists in another country. So just think on that, it's not so simple anymore. And of course, the fourth pillar is the preparedness. So the country has to be well prepared for the hazardous weather, and the response capabilities has to be also in place. So as you can see, just highlighted that different UN agencies are responsible for the different parts, but we are working together to close somehow this value chain and have in each and every country and for each and every citizen an early warning for all in place. In Europe, coming back to my region, in Europe, many countries do not have adequate early warning systems, just in the well-developed Europe. I don't talk about Africa or oceanic regions. The Early Warning for All rapid assessment, this is the tool that we use to assess the country's capability to early warning for all. And as you can see, I just brought 2 examples here. This is the result of these assessments, so-called scorecards, where we can evaluate the country's capability. And just these numbers tells the story all. The 1 means no capacity, the 5 means full capacity. So as you can see, 2 European Union candidate countries do not have proper early warning for all services. There are big gaps in the observing data processing forecasting system. As you can see that the impact-based forecasting capability and capacity is almost zero in both of the countries. But different types of gaps and challenges are common in these countries, lack of formal links between the stakeholders in the dissemination chain. Just think on the flooding 3 years ago in Germany. Why casualties happened there? Or just in Valencia, why the problem happened there last year? Because of this, because the link was somewhere broken between the dissemination chain. And many countries really miss the regulatory frameworks that correlate the early warnings to the emergency plans. So it's just not about talk about it, but we have to finish it and close with regulations in the country. So there is a lot to do, definitely. But there is somehow some good news with the new technologies, artificial intelligence and machine learning. Many people is afraid of it, and we can. So there are such a capabilities there what we don't understand at the moment, but at least in weather forecasting, these are useful at the moment. Not even the experts expected the speed of the development what we have there. Just to show you that this is the ECMWF, this is the European Center for Medium Range Weather Forecast, so the main global model provider of Europe, weather forecast provider Europe, performance, so how the different forecasting models, just to tell you very easily how punctually they provide forecasts by the time. So you can see that the 3 days long, when we provide weather forecast for 3 days ahead, nowadays it's just reaching the 100%. You have to know that by the nature of the atmospheric system, by the nature of the physical equations, we will never be able to forecast 100% with 100% punctuality what kind of weather will happen. It's a chaotic system, it's not possible. But we are very close there. And you can see by the time every type of forecast developed a lot, so the performance is better. But in the last 2 years, when we work with the machine learning models, we faced a big increase in this performance of the models. We could achieve in 2 years that development what earlier we achieved in 8 years. So the machine learning really has a good potential. And I told you the secret, but not even the experts can, from these two pictures from the same time, decide that which were produced by the artificial intelligence model and which was produced by the classical physical model. So we have very, very good results there. But always there is a but. This is the artificial intelligence model. It's a very cost-effective model because it doesn't really cost. It's $1 billion, everything forecast per forecast. I mean, so it's just like an ant. We need for a machine learning model to run it. Just a PC, a normal laptop is good for it. And while the high-resolution models in the World Meteorological Centers requires huge supercomputers, and the models runs for 3-6 hours, it takes maybe 5 minutes in a single laptop. And you could see that what results. But the machine, what happened? But the machine learning models, the cost of the machine learning model is very, very big. That reanalysis, we call it, reanalysis model, which contains the weather parameters from a long historical period, it costs a lot. And the machine learning models will not be able to perform such a good way without the ERA 6 models. Now it's 5 here, but nowadays we use the ERA 6 models, the European reanalysis model. So what is then the benefit of these machine learning models? In a country who does not, as I showed you, really do not have impact-based forecasting capabilities, the machine learning model, which use the high-resolution model outputs and which use the database, the historical database of the European centers, they can easily have good forecast in place. So that's why the European and global collaboration and cooperation has a significant role here, because we European countries, the developed countries, can support the less developed part. And also, as you can see, there are some text on the right side of the slide. So the European Meteorological Services are working together to create a forecast in a box, it's called. So create that machine learning tools and capabilities and model together, which we can simply provide to the developing countries, and it can help them to really prepare the early warnings and really prepare those information which is needed for the decision makers to save lives and livelihoods. And as a take-home message, as you could see that I have the thank you for your attention slide. My take-home message that the cost of the inaction, it's much higher than the cost of the action. Thank you very much.